shall the eyes of the blind be opened, and the ears of the deaf unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as an old, and the tongue of the dumb shall sing.
welcome to this service of worship on Christmas Eve with the community that gathers at Mount Vernon Place United Methodist Church. My name is Donna Claycomb-Sokol, and I have the joy and privilege of serving as the pastor of our congregation. And we are grateful that you have chosen to worship with us on this Christmas Eve, one of the most sacred nights. In this season leading up to this night, we have been hearing the good news from all the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, because we have needed good news. And that's what gospel actually means. We've heard stories of courage all along our Advent journey, stories of people who have sung out songs of hope, love, joy, and peace in spite of the circumstances. And tonight we return to the story of Jesus' birth, as told in the Gospel of Luke. This account is the narrative we read again and again on this holy night, for Luke gives us the most beloved detail. We yearn to see again the scene play out, to hear the music of angels, to feel the rush to the manger, to see what the star that pierces the night sky has come to proclaim. We so desire to believe the good news of the messengers that is the culmination of all of humanity's pain of birth. Do not be afraid, for unto you a child has been born. You're now invited to light your 4 Advent candles. And tonight we get to light the 5th candle, the center candle, the Christ candle. Will you do so now wherever you are? Let us pray. Holy One, thank you for the glimpses of heaven on earth, in the faces and light of those around us, even in the midst of fear, challenge, and struggle, even when our view is obscured by clouds of doubt. You have ignited the flame of hope, love, joy, and peace within us. Let us glow with its brilliance from the inside out. Amen.
It is the
friends, we begin this service of Christmas Eve by singing together a song of bidding and celebration, O Come All Ye Faithful.
Good evening, church, and blessed Christmas Eve. My name is Lee Schreiber, and I serve as our Minister of Discipleship here at Mount Vernon Place, and a part of that role is the gift of getting to lead and serve with our children's ministry. Typically, at this point in the service, I would invite our MVP kids and young people to come close to the screen for this special moment, but tonight, I want to invite all of you to come close for this special blessing of music from our MVP Children's Choir singing Emmanuel, God is with us, a song that we learned as a part of our Vacation Bible School program this past summer that invites us to remember that Emmanuel means God is with us all year long. Enjoy.
In the springtime, it can feel like Christmas through the holidays. Christmas time reminds us Jesus came to us. We will never
Hello, beautiful people. My name is Chelsea Rivas, and I will be reading our scripture lessons for today. The Old Testament lesson is from Isaiah chapter 52, verses 7 through 10. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of the messenger who announces peace, who brings good news, who announces salvation, who says to Zion, your God reigns. Listen, your sentinels lift up their voices. Together they sing for joy, for in plain sight they see the return of the Lord to Zion. Break forth together into singing, you ruins of Jerusalem, for the Lord has comforted his people. He has redeemed Jerusalem. The Lord has bared his holy arm before the eyes of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of our God. The gospel lesson is from Luke chapter 2, verses 1 through 20. In those days, a decree went out from Emperor Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration and was taken while Quirinius was governor of Syria. All went to their own towns to be registered. Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea to the city of David called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and family of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged and who was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child, and she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in bands of cloth, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them at the inn. In that region there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then the angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace among those whom he favors. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us. So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told to them about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told to them. Listen to what the Spirit is saying to you. Thanks be to God.
You are not alone. You are not alone. I cannot recall a year in which I have sought to communicate these words more often than I have in this year that is blessedly coming to an end 1 week from tonight. You are not alone. I penned on a card to a broken-hearted woman grieving the sudden loss of her mother in a time when the traditional ways of walking through loss with other people is impossible. You are not alone. I told my dear friend, after telling me how she wished she could send her children off for at least a month. You are not alone. I wrote in a Facebook prayer for people who are painfully watching a parent suffer through dementia or Alzheimer's. You are not alone. We told our neighbors through words printed on a banner our church hung in April, promising all who walked by our building that we're in this together. But are we? You are not alone. Do we believe these words are true? Including those of us who are right now sitting in a room where there is not another creature stirring, not even a mouse. You are not alone. But I wonder if Mary felt alone this night. I can imagine Mary's despair, if not her outright anger, at having to make the 90-mile journey from Nazareth to Bethlehem to satisfy the demands of the Roman Empire. In antiquity, scholars note that most people would be able to travel an average of 20 miles a day by foot or donkey. But with Mary being 9 months pregnant, it could have easily taken the couple twice as long to journey up and down a hilled path through the Judean desert. Plus, their week-long trek was made in winter, when the temperatures hovered in the 30s during the day before dropping significantly at night. Imagine how your body might feel after such a journey, especially if you're 9 months pregnant. What would you be yearning to do when you finally reached Bethlehem? Would you want to take a hot bath, crawl inside a warm bed, sip a cup of hot tea, embrace some privacy? Few luxuries were afforded to Mary when she and Joseph finally reached their destination. We've been taught to believe that an innkeeper turned them away. There's no room at the inn, a child always exclaims in our annual Christmas pageants. But Mary and Joseph did not go to an inn upon their arrival in the crowded city of David. Rather, the original Greek text has them seeking a kataluma, a word that is better translated guest room. It is the same word found in Luke 22 when Jesus asks his disciples to secure space for the Passover meal that he will share with them before being crucified. Ben Witherington and Amy Jill Levine explain no place for them in the kataluma means that in this space there was no room for Mary to have a baby. In this space, far from home, there was no room for Mary to give birth. But the lack of space did not keep Jesus from being born, just as it did not necessarily send them out back to a barn. More accurately, Mary and Joseph were likely displaced to another room filled with relatives and neighbors. They could have literally been surrounded by friends and family during the dangers, anticipation, and joy of childbirth. Well, I cannot imagine anything worse, as I struggle to even have a medical student in the room with my doctor during certain physical exams. I also ponder the power of Mary being prevented from believing, if even for a moment, that she was alone as she gave birth. The adversity of there being no room in one place led them to another space where they were surrounded by more than they could have ever imagined, whether they wanted it or not. I wonder if we have experienced something similar this year. as we imagined doing life in one place, only to find ourselves in another space that we could have never imagined when a new decade began nearly 12 months ago. In what ways have we found ourselves surrounded by something or someone that held us, carried us, or sustained us throughout the disruption, upheaval, disappointment, and loss that has punctuated 2020? I've watched my husband, Craig, flourish in this season with a contentment that I yearn for, one that I envy. And I also cannot help but wonder how much of his deep inner peace is because not a Saturday night has passed without him having the opportunity to gather on Zoom in a different space than the place he anticipated with his best friends from college. Craig, like many of us, has no idea when he'll get to see his friends in person or be with our extended family, but Craig knows that he can be fully seen by people who care deeply about him, people who want to see him every Saturday. I've marveled at the sense of community many of you have discovered as you participated in a brief time of morning prayer 5 days a week. You may not know what space you'll be in Monday through Friday, but you found another place where people are always waiting for you, wanting to see you and to pray with you at 8:30, 5 mornings a week. A magical moment coated my computer screen when 36 of you participated in a virtual retreat in November, one that started with a very simple exercise of our being invited to please unmute our microphones in a large group and to say to every single person on the screen, calling them by name and then saying, "I see you." And then every person was invited to respond in return, "I feel seen." I feel seen. It's a powerful gift to know that we are not alone. But I would be a fool to not name how some of us who are hunkered down in homes near and far are feeling more alone tonight than ever before, longing to quickly skip through the remaining days of what has been promised by politicians to be a long winter. And I also know that being in a room with other people does not necessarily mean that our pain will be recognized, let alone understood. While Mary may have been surrounded by friends and family, Mary felt excruciating pain on this night. Pain that any woman who has given birth to a child would understand. And yet Mary's pain is never mentioned by the gospel writers. Luke writes, while they were there, the time came for her to deliver a child. And then it's followed immediately afterward, and she gave birth. Mary's pain, the pain of childbirth, is completely lost between verses 6 and 7. My colleague James Howe brought this omission to my attention, and then he quoted Rachel Marie Stone, who wrote, "A girl was in labor with God. She groaned and seated and arched her back, crying out for her deliverance and finally delivering God. God's head piercing her cervix, emerging from her vagina, perhaps tearing her flesh. God, the Son, her Son, covered in vernix and blood, the infant God's first breath, the close air of crowded quarters. God, the Son, her Son, pressed to her bare breast. God, the Son, her Son, drank deeply from his mother. Drink, my beloved. This is my body, broken for you. A mother's sacrificial broken body is an extraordinary thing. You and I are all here because of our mother and her sacrifice. It does not matter what your mother's motive was in having you, the relationship you once shared with your mother or continue to share today. Sometimes tender, other times painful and dysfunctional. You are here because of your mother's sacrifice. In the moment of birth, her body was broken for you. The first thing all of our eyes beheld was our mother, and what we saw in her was selflessness and sacrifice. Our mother did not ask, "Am I okay?" after giving birth. Our mother's first words were, "Is my child okay? Does she have 5 fingers? Does he have 10 toes?" Her sacrifice is why we were able to keep breathing, why we were able to have life. And is this assurance not the assurance that we yearn for? Especially when we are feeling vulnerable and alone, to know that someone has not only asked but continues to ask, "Is my child okay? Is he still breathing? Does my daughter know I'm here, that she's not alone?" Beloveds, my faith tells me that whether our parents are still living or not, in our lives or absent, that one is still asking these questions, that God is asking these questions. Is my child okay? Is my son still breathing? Does my daughter know that she is not alone? Do my children know that they have sacrificed, that I have sacrificed everything so that they might have life? God so loved the world. God so loved the world that God gave God's only begotten Son, Emmanuel, God with us. A baby born through Mary in a place that was nothing like what she imagined. When an angel first came to her and told her, "You're going to give birth to a son and you shall name him Jesus." And just as Mary's body was broken to give birth to Jesus, so Jesus' body was broken so that we might have life, life abundant, life without end. And if God is Emmanuel, God with us, then God knows our pain. All the pain we've experienced this year. Our loneliness, our grief, our anger and resentment, our sadness, our profound sense of loss, our despair. But tonight, in the midst of this pain, in the midst of a year that is unlike any other, imagine God looking at you, holding you. Allow yourself to hear God's voice. Is my child okay? Is my son breathing? Does my daughter know I am here? Do my children understand? I will do anything to be with them, including being born in human form in the most extraordinary of circumstances. My daughter, you are not alone. My son, you are not alone. My child, you are not alone. Will you believe these words? Will you accept them as the gospel truth on this night? Thanks be to God. Amen.
We began this season of Advent with a theme and a song of believing in the light, even in the darkness. We now hear again that anthem, and I invite you to sing along to I Believe.
Good evening. My name is Yoshi, and I would like to lead us in a word of prayer. Will you pray with me? God, who became flesh, who served humanity through your teachings, through your miracles, through your death, and through your resurrection. We celebrate this night before your birth as we waited patiently for your arrival. We remember this as if it is a day of our own, for you provide life, light, truth, and meaning. God, on this calm winter night, we find hope and joy through knowing that our living God, which loves us profoundly in ways that transcend what we can imagine. God, make your promise be made complete through this world, through our lives, and may your light shine through and transpire healing, as well as restoration, for the sake of your goodness. We give these prayers up to you, Lord, as we say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. But lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, the glory forever. Amen.
Greetings on this Christmas Eve. My name is Julie Hagan. I'm a member of Mount Vernon Place, and I'm also a candidate for ordained ministry in the United Methodist Church. I welcome you this evening, knowing what it's like to be a first-timer at Mount Vernon Place during Christmas. I remember it vividly. It was 6 years ago. I think it was on a Wednesday or a Thursday night in the middle of the week in December. And I stood out on the front steps with a bunch of people that I barely knew, singing Silent Night. And it was cold. I had on my Texas coat. It doesn't keep you very warm in DC winter. What did keep me warm, though, was the love and the community that I felt every moment since I walked in the door at Mount Vernon Place. And that's what's kept me coming back. It's also what brought me here to DC to live permanently and eventually enroll in Wesley Seminary. It's that kind of love that this congregation embodies. And I hope and pray for you this evening that somehow you feel that love and that joy. That's what keeps me going each day, and it's what keeps me coming back to Mount Vernon Place. You have a place here, and you're invited to be part of everything we do in Washington, whether it's worship or small groups or volunteering to help in the community. You belong here. Let us know you're here, will you? You can do that by going to our website, mvpumc.org, clicking the live stream button at the top right. It's in orange. Scroll down and you'll see an icon that says I'm here. You'll be taken to a form called a Connect card, and you can offer as much or as little information about you as you want. But it's always our privilege to be able to pray with you and know what's on your heart this holiday season. You can also sign up to receive our weekly email, which tells you everything that's going on in the life of the church, whether it is a volunteer opportunity, a small group, or an opportunity to sing virtually and participate in worship. That's where you can find all of that. As we continue this night, I will also invite you to prayerfully think about how you can embody generosity during this season. Will you join me in everything that's happening here in the life of this church in Washington, D.C.? You can do that by writing an old-fashioned check and mailing it to the church. You can do that by texting to give, or you can sign up to be a regular giver on our website. MVP is a place so full of love and warmth. We want to invite you to continue feeling that love and warmth this holiday season. And I'm so excited to introduce Wilda Harper, who is my brother in Christ, playing for us this evening our offertory, What Child Is This? pray with me? God of wonder, we offer you these humble gifts, signs of your goodness and mercy. Receive them with our gratitude, that through us all people may know the riches of your love in the Word made flesh. Amen.
We come now to the classic moment of every Christmas Eve, the moment to light our candles. And sing Silent Night. We've wondered this year how we could possibly recreate a sense of normalcy in this moment. We wondered how we could get through with the joy we usually feel on this night, having lost so much this year. No, it's not the same. And we know that because of the people we have lost, the jobs and security we have lost, the injustice that surrounds us, and the reality that some of us are alone, instead of with family or friends, or in a place we call sanctuary. From now on, we may remember this moment when we thought light and song would elude us. But here we are, and we will light our lights, and we will have our song, just like those soldiers in World War I sang across enemy lines. Everything stopped for a short while as the message that all is calm and all is bright prevailed above the violence and dark night of the world. We have been sorely divided on many things. We are devastated by our losses. We are tired, and we are not so calm. But for this moment, this night, let us remember that we are not alone, and that we believe that the music and light of God's promises come again and again. Hope for a better tomorrow, love that works for a more equitable world, joy that wells from a place deep within us, and peace that offers the assurance we need. Wherever you are, light a candle. Look at the light as we sing together, Silent Night.
Oh
Thank you again so much for being with us on this Christmas Eve. We would be overjoyed to have you worship with us again at any time. We gather at Sunday mornings at 11, currently virtual, but I can promise you that as soon as we are back, there is plenty of good room. And it would be a joy to journey in faith with you. Until then, you are abundantly welcome, and know that it would be a great and precious privilege to hear from you through a Connect card, but to also know if there's any way that we can care for you, that we can be in ministry alongside of you, that we can remind you that you are not alone. So now receive these words of benediction that we've been repeating throughout this Advent season. We wait for justice, but we do not wait to work for change. We wait for restored health, but we do not wait to work to heal. We wait for wholeness, but we do not wait to work at binding brokenness. We wait for peace, but we do not wait to work to eliminate hatred. And so, my friends, like bells ringing out the news that the sun still shines even on cloudy days, fill this night, Christmas night, with light. Go into your lives humming the tunes that keep the hope alive in you and that spur you on in your work of justice and reconciliation. Raise your voices and repeat after me. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Because a child has been born, and his name is Emmanuel, God with us. You are not alone. Merry Christmas.